Straight ahead on CCX News, we take you to a place where there's more purple and gold than at a Minnesota Vikings game. We kick off our summer series of backyard getaways. Plus, building a first-of-its-kind Minnesota facility in Brooklyn Center. We'll take you there. But first, repeal, rejected. What a U.S. Senate vote on health care means for local companies in the medical device industry. CCX News starts right now. Hello and thanks for joining us. In the wee hours of the morning, the United States Senate narrowly voted against repealing many of the provisions of the Affordable Care Act.
It is a blow to the local medical device industry, which has been lobbying to eliminate a medical device tax, one of the provisions that would have been repealed. Delane Cleveland joins us now with more on that. Delane?
Mike and Alex, the medical device tax is currently suspended until the end of 2017. What happens after that is unknown, but a Golden Valley-based organization that serves many of the local companies in the industry hopes for a full-blown repeal of the tax.
It was a national tax, but because of our massive medical device industry, the state of Minnesota companies were going to carry 26% of that tax. That was going to, if you will, kill the goose that lays the golden egg.
The medical device tax was one of the provisions included in President Obama's Affordable Care Act. It was a 2% tax on revenue, but a 2-year suspension of the tax went into effect last year. Medical device companies said it cut into their ability to invest in new technologies, invest in their employees, and stifled innovation. Golden Valley's Medical Alley Association says that between now and the end of the year, they'll advocate in any way they can to ensure the medical device tax is repealed.
We're confident that this will move to full repeal at the end of the suspension. Again, the massive medical device industry that we have here in Minnesota supports so many jobs and makes advances in healthcare that makes us a global leader around the world.
Representatives from the Medical Alley Association say a repeal or suspension of the tax could happen in a health care bill, a standalone bill, or it could be attached to a tax reform bill. Mike?
All right, Delane, thank you. The latest progress report on Brooklyn Center's water shows the new water treatment plant is doing its job to keep the water safe. An independent nonprofit group called the Environmental Working Group says the water quality is in compliance with federal standards. The group's report relies on samples provided by the city to the Minnesota Department of Health.
If you look at a comparison, we're doing very, very well with the water, and it's very, very safe. It is below all of the maximums for federal measurements, and there are 0 contaminants that deal with cancer.
Contaminants such as chlorine and fluoride were found and expected since those are used to clean and process the water. Brooklyn Center opened a new water treatment plant last year after high levels of manganese were found several years ago. Meanwhile, in Brooklyn Center, construction crews are working to turn a traditional hospice home into a hospice home for children.
As Shannon Slatton reports, it would be the first of its kind in Minnesota.
We hope that this home becomes a community place for families that are going through difficult times.
On the northern shore of Upper Twin Lake, a transformation is underway.
This will be our great room, so this is really what you envision as a living space.
A North Memorial Hospice home is under new ownership. A nonprofit called Crescent Cove
And then out here,
will turn this space into a hospice home for kids.
this is a really nice sunroom that will be our art therapy play place.
It has been a long journey for Crescent Cove to be located here.
You often feel isolated.
Tara Anderson says hospice homes for children are very rare, and taking over this building and making it kid-friendly seems like the perfect fit.
It has kind of everything that you would need in a medical facility, but we are really trying to make it into a home.
But every nonprofit depends upon help from the community, and Crescent Cove didn't have to look far for willing helpers.
There were some tears that day.
Robbinsdale Lions have been actively keeping up with the project.
We're just happy to be a part of this.
Since hearing about the need for a children's hospice years ago.
It was coming home and it was coming into our backyard, and then it was meant to be. that the Robbinsdale Lions would be in on the ground level of this fabulous proposal.
They have committed to helping with landscaping and grounds care.
That takes one piece off their plate that they have to worry about.
There's still much to do before Crescent Cove can serve families here, but the dream of bringing peace and comfort to those hurting is closer than it ever has been before.
We can make it a little easier and a little more comforting and allow the parents to see the kids in a place of joy, in a place of happiness, in a place of experiencing life the way that they would want them to experience it.
In Brooklyn Center, Shannon Slatton, CCX News.
Crescent Cove is expected to open in November.
The Boy Scouts National Jamboree was in the news this week, and there's an effort underway in our area that fits well with the Boy Scout oath to help other people at all times.
We have a lot of kids who want to be in scouting, and in scouting, badges and patches are very important. You need some place to put them, so you got to have a uniform.
As kids sign up for Boy Scouts this fall, you can help ensure that every child that wants to be a Boy Scout has a uniform. If you have a uniform at your house that's no longer being used, drop it off at any Pilgrim Cleaners location now through Monday.
You can bring in a gently used Boy Scout uniform, and then Pilgrim Dry Cleaners will clean the uniform and get it out to the Boy Scouts, and then they distribute it to kids in need.
They are behind on their goal of collecting 1,000 uniforms. They're especially in need of the blue Cub Scout uniforms. September 19th is sign-up day for scouting at all local elementary schools.
Well, how much do you really know about your personal heritage? The Germanic Genealogy Society is holding a conference in Brooklyn Park this weekend, helping hundreds of people who are passionate about finding their roots. They say making a family connection can be exciting, like the American family that recently took an old photo back to a German village.
And they're asking, can you show where this house is? And this guy comes up to him, he's looking at it and says, oh, I know who those people are. And he's starting to name them off. And the man, it was just unbelievable, because like he's looking in this, they were holding a baby, and he looked at it and says, all of a sudden he starts saying, das bin ich, das bin ich, das bin ich.
The internet has helped uncover family records for a lot of people, but Kent Cutcomb says the real digging happens in libraries and archives. It sounds like that man saw himself in the photo. It was me is the translation, right? Still ahead on CCX News, our new summer series, Backyard Getaways. First up, a short trip where there's plenty of wildflower power.
Plus, the party is on at a local youth girls basketball camp. We'll take you there in sports.
But first, a wonderful weekend. Saturday is about as close as you can get to perfect. We'll be right back.
Well, as summer continues, many of us may need a getaway, but just don't have the time for a cross-country vacation.
But it doesn't mean that you have to scrap the idea. Today we begin a new series titled Backyard Getaways, where we profile nearby places that provide an escape from city life. Our first stop is a prairie a close drive away. Here's Eric Nelson.
This is one of the hidden gems of the Twin Cities.
Crowhasset Park Reserve feels more like the North Dakota prairie than Hennepin County.
This is the biggest prairie in the metro, and I think one of the best prairies.
Colorful wildflowers are Crowhasset's signature. There is more purple and gold here than a Minnesota Vikings game.
This is an amazing year, especially with the bergamots. The amount of bergamot that's out here is just unbelievable.
Black-eyed Susans, bergamots, and prairie clovers are popping. Those flowers give Crowhasset a Technicolor look.
This is a peak time. The weather's really nice, so there's a lot of good flowers that are out here. But at the same time, this prairie is neat even when it's brown in the winter.
The flowers this time of year, they're beautiful.
Crowhasset is also a mecca for horseback riders who love the solitude and open spaces the park provides.
Opulent is my word, and the colors change every 2 or 3 weeks. It's a whole different scene.
48 years ago, Crowhasset was just farms and cornfields, but it was eventually turned into a prairie.
Still an ongoing thing. It was the first big restored prairie in the metro.
Today, it is a thriving ecosystem with animals, birds, and insects.
Most of the bumblebees found in Minnesota are found in this park. We have a large diversity and a large number of various butterflies.
Crowhasset is the perfect place to decompress and escape the nearby Twin Cities hassle factor.
It's just a place to come and sit. I mean, it's It's a quiet site for being in the area.
If you go to the park reserve, respect your surroundings. Take only pictures and leave only footprints.
We want people to come in and see the prairies and enjoy the prairies, but to leave the plants here.
Yeah, it's a backyard getaway.
Another perk of this park is you can actually bring a canoe here and float down the Crow River, which is the western boundary of the Crow-Hassan Park Reserve. In Rogers, I'm Eric Nelson, CCX News.
And the park is for the birds, too. Crow-Hassan is a popular bird-watching site. Still ahead, romance and heartbreak all at the State Fair. We'll take you to a new production on stage in Maple Grove.
But first, Champlin Park Volleyball Standout is enjoying a very good summer. Jay Wilcox has the details next.
One of the state's top volleyball recruits from the class of 2019 enjoyed a couple of big moments in her volleyball career in recent weeks. Champlin Park junior-to-be Izzy Ashburn was named tournament MVP at the High Performance Camp in Florida. After playing and training for both Crossfire and Minnesota Select clubs, she was excited to have the opportunity to try out for the National High Performance Camp and Tournament.
Well, there's tryouts in Minneapolis, and you have to make like national A1, A2, A3, and then so I made A1, and then we went down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and there's 5 days of tryouts there then for different teams because there's 48 girls. It was really different, and I didn't know what to expect because it was my first year, so it was just a really cool experience. I'll definitely do it again.
Ashburn has already played in 2 state high school tournaments with the Rebels, which included a runner-up finish last fall. She has 2 years left of high school ball, but is now verbally committed to play college volleyball at the University of Wisconsin, where former Rebels teammate Sydney Hilly will be a freshman this fall.
I mean, volleyball recruits pretty early now, which is stressful, especially like freshman year and the sophomore year, and it was really long. And I don't know, I felt like I was rushed throughout the whole thing, but in the end, like, they really gave me my time, and it was just a really good fit, and I knew it was right for me. Like, I didn't expect to know, because everyone's like, you'll just know when you get there, but I didn't really expect that. And then when I got there, it was right.
And the rest of her Champlin Park teammates finished up their summer workouts this week. The first official practice for most fall athletes is Monday, August 14th. Well, even well before they're on high school teams, young athletes put a lot of time and effort into their sports. We found a youth camp where they don't forget to have some fun, too.
If you've come looking for quiet concentration, this might not be the camp for you. The 4-day Maple Grove Girls Basketball Youth Clinic is about learning the game, but having fun is a primary focus.
Well, when you're just playing basketball, it's mostly a lot of pressure, but when you're like having fun with the music, it makes it a lot better.
We try to have a lot of fun, so we play the music, we dance around, we joke around. We have the high school kids do such a good job with the young kids.
High school players help to coach the girls who are in grades 2 through 7, along with the Maple Grove High School staff. The bond between present and future Crimson players is there.
I like it a lot because a lot of the younger girls, they came to our regular season games, so they like working with us.
It's fun because we get to learn from people that are older than us and are better than us, and they encourage us.
I think that's what's so great about it is most of them did come up going to these youth camps and youth clinics, and so now they get to be a coach at it and they just have a blast with it.
This is the second of 2 Crimson clinics this summer. It's proven to be a hit and helps to strengthen the entire program.
Absolutely. We've had 140 kids in the gym, 140 second through 7th graders in the gym this summer. And that's just, any coach would just be blessed to have that. And so I'm just super excited about the level of excitement and energy around Crimson girls basketball. There's nothing better than when you're out in the community at Target or you're at the grocery store or whatever, and you see all the kids wearing these little red t-shirts that say "Make Them Believe" with the Crimson family on the back. It's about making them feel like even though they're young, they're still a part of the big picture.
When Coach Cook asked the high school players who were working as camp instructors how many had attended Crimson Camp when they were younger, nearly everyone raised their hand. Well, the slow pitch softball tournament is a big part of Crystal Frolics, and the tourney kicked off in a special way Thursday night. An all-star game and home run derby were held at Becker Park. More than 30 sluggers took their hacks to see who could go yard the most. In the end, Luke McKay won the Derby with 7 homers and 10 swings in the finals. Calvin Spencer of Brooklyn Park came in second with 6 of 10. The softball tournament at Crystal Frolics starts Friday evening and it continues through the weekend with the championship games on Sunday. And that's all for sports. Mike and Alex, back to you.
All right, thanks a lot. Still ahead, the State Fair with a whole lot of intrigue.
We'll take you to the musical version in Maple Grove when we come back. The State Fair is near and dear to the hearts of many Minnesotans.
And this weekend, you can get into the State Fair spirit with Cross Community Players' latest production. Neil Persley has details in today's Weekend Showcase.
Our State Fair is a great state fair. The musical State Fair was actually first a movie made from a book about the Frake family's traditional yearly trip to the Iowa State Fair, set in 1946.
The movie takes place still at the State Fair, but in so many different locations that putting it on stage, you end up with a new location almost every single scene.
The spacious venue of Maple Grove Senior High Theater makes it possible to accommodate all of the set pieces and changes. The show is perfectly cast, and there are about 4 stories going on with the Frake family.
The types of people that it's like the neighbor next door, the people that you can relate to, and it's just those types of people that are characters in the play, but they're people that you know.
Jackson Miller's character, Pat Gilbert, is a former war correspondent and a bit of a ladies' man who thinks the assignment of covering the state fairs beneath him. That is until he meets Margie Frake.
Margie is definitely a romantic, and it's wonderful for her, but also gets her into a little bit of trouble as well.
I grew up on a farm and stuff too, so I can see where he's coming from, going to the big city for the fair.
The thoroughly believable Thomas Herron plays Margie's older brother Wayne, who is the consummate, nice, somewhat innocent farm guy who falls head over heels for the flashy Emily Arden, who's a singer at the fair.
She's really exotic. She's like, I don't know, that red dress, boom, that hair. Oh, the hair actually looks really good.
I think they equally find something that they connect with, and they see something in each other that they kind of want to reflect in themselves.
The music is Rodgers and Hammerstein, so what's not to love about State Fair? In Maple Grove, Neil Persley, CCX News.
Cross Community Players is collecting canned goods and school supplies for Cross Food Shelf at the door. The State Fair runs this weekend only at the Maple Grove Senior High School Theater. Showtimes are 7:30 tonight and Saturday with a 3:30 matinee Sunday afternoon. It's that red hair. Makes him exotic. That's it for now. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
We will see you back here again on Monday starting at 4 o'clock. Have a great weekend.